Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream tonight. It's a full house. Hopefully, you can hear me at the moment because no one else is talking. So let's get somebody else to talk. Before we do that, a massive shout out to Laura Burns, who's moderated tonight, bringing you all of the wonderful and amazing information in chat. So thank you to Laura. Right, I'm joined by my wonderful players very quickly. If you don't know who they are, go watch the solo plays, which were all absolutely amazing in the listy playlist thing on this channel. Those took place previously, and if you have not watched them, you don't need to in order to start enjoying this adventure. This is the very first adventure as prescribed by the D&D book Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen. And so we're going to be starting to play through that. So who's going to be playing it? Very quickly, chaps, if you could just introduce who you are and who you'll be playing. And then we can kick off with that. So let's start as it's on the screen with Jeremy.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Cobb. I am the resident GM and one of the co-hosts of the show Three Black Halflings. I also do pro GM stuff, and I'm playing Finnigan Abafele, Kender Wizard. I guess, should we say what subclass? Because we have subclasses now.
You do?
A Kender Blade Singer Wizard who is very excited and wants to do a very good job.
Wants to do a very good job. Could you ask for anything more than that? Next to him is Lou.
Hello, I'm Lou Fryer. I'm a professional writer and editor for companies like Nord Games and various other small TTRPG publishers. And this evening I'm playing Mrs. Marjorie Eve Thornet, who is a warlock, and you will find out more about what that entails
shortly. Okay, then we've got joining us at an ungodly hour, but that's his fault for living where he does. It's Michael.
True.
Hello. It's nice to see you here. My name's Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and I'm a professional streamer, and I am playing Nudeih, your charming and delightful addition to this wizarding group. Naturally, you don't need to look below me at all, but I am the best wizard. In case anyone ever asks, I wizard so well. In fact, my subclass of wizard is also wizard. So if ever you have any need of a truly wizardy wizard, you can come to Nudeih. Nudeih Nawan.
Absolutely. And dispel magic will never cancel your magic.
Exactly. I am completely immune to the countenance of other wizards, so look out for me.
What power!
Such power.
Sheer and unbridled.
Counter spell doesn't work. Anti-magic cone doesn't work. It's unbelievable.
That's it.
Yes, and guy would swear silence doesn't work on me either.
Then we've got Gabe.
Hey, yes, I am Gabe Martini. I'm a comic book artist and illustrator here in London. And I am playing Vannwel Amalith, who is a Sylvanesti High Elf, a very short Sylvanesti High Elf, who is kind of trying to do his best at being a wizard, specifically an abjuration wizard. That's him.
That's him. That's him. That's him. Saw some dark and tricksy things. Okay, now that you know who they are and you can see roughly what they do, a few little bits of housekeeping. Firstly, there was the vote for your favorite caption, or caption as a matter of fact, for the artwork for Nudeih's little adventure with a certain hag. This was the image that was created from that adventure, and you were asked to caption it on discord.gg/greatgm in the Dragonlance Chit Chat channel. And we had a winner, if you didn't see it in the opening roll, and that was Crazy Zoni, who wrote a song, which I'm not going to try and sing because I can't sing, but it goes something like this. But Ma, she's the girl for me. When she smiles, she shows off her alabaster smile. I can just lose myself in her pearly whites for quite a while. I don't want to sound mean. I know they should be stained green, but Ma, she's the girl for me. Quite the caption, I must admit. But there you go. So that was for the image. This week's image will go up after the stream, which is of Mrs. Thornett's activities that happened last week. Go and caption those, and hopefully your caption will be chosen or voted for by everybody else, and it'll appear in next week's video. So there you are. Right. And with all of that out of the way, I think that's everything that I had to get through. Yes, it is. We can now actually get on with the stream, with the actual adventure. So we are playing directly from the book. And if you want to know how I planned and what I planned for this particular adventure, you can go watch my video from Monday, where I walk you through exactly what I had to do to make this adventure work, as far as I'm concerned, as it was written in the book. And for this adventure, there really wasn't a lot that I had to change. Now that all the plans have been made, the players are about to engage with those plans, and we shall watch them burn and crumble, as is appropriate, I think. So a moment to pull ourselves into the location. Our four heroes have spent a year since we last met them, and they last had their unfortunate encounters with strange and unnatural phenomenon. What has transpired in that year is known only to them and a select few. But perhaps we shall gain some glimpses into the activities that have kept them busy, or perhaps we shan't, for new matters press upon their minds. Most importantly, the arrival of a very particular, very precisely worded, and most specifically, individually directed letter, which we just happen to have here, and my four wonderful players, each of you, wherever you happen to be on the continent of Ansalon, you are found by a courier, a rather well-paid courier, who hands you this letter. I shall read it for those of you that cannot read. You are requested by testimony to attend to the funeral of our beloved friend and ally, Ispin Greenshield. His departure from this world will happen in his place of choosing, Vogler Fishing Village, upon the day of the Kingfisher Festival. Accommodations provided at the Brass Crab. Becklin Uth Vihern, OC.
Oh, man.
Indeed.
Not Ispin.
Yes, Ispin. The note says Ispin.
Seemed so hearty and lively. So full of joie de vivre. I don't know what that means, but it seemed like he had a lot of it.
And most importantly, something that linked all four of our backstories.
Yeah.
Nudeih checks the message for traps.
The message itself seems to have been written on a fairly good but old paper, and was enough to convince you to attend. And so once receiving that letter, you made your preparations, which we don't have to go into, to get to Vogler Village. And so our eyes are cast to the map directly below all of you, where you can see where the great city of Kalaman sits on the bay of Kalaman, at the very entrance to the mouth of the Vingard River. And along that river, perhaps you took boat or ferry, perhaps you took a convoy of horses or carriages. However you managed to get to the little fishing village of Vogler, you have arrived. The fishing village of Vogler clings to a spit of land reaching into the Vingard River. Wooded cliffs overlook the community, and the only path from the north descends past the ivy-covered remnants of a crumbling stone keep. The village's modest wooden buildings cluster around a quaint central circle and along the riverbank. Jutting into the river, out of place and seemingly out of time, stands an incomplete stone bridge of incredible artisanship. The structure clearly dates to before the cataclysm, eclipsing its modern peers in size and sturdiness. The bridge crosses less than half the river's width before giving way to a series of ropes and tethered rafts serving as ferries. On the river itself, dozens of small boats drift along the slow, murky waters to the fishers of Volga as they ply their trade. You have arrived in the little village. What are you doing? By chance, you have arrived at roughly the same time, and find yourselves all standing at some very large gates, which are ornately flanked by two very large wooden fish that have been carved into the gate posts.
I have a little bit of a proposal, which is I think if Finnigan had been able to easily contact both Nudeih and Van, they would have probably traveled together.
Yes.
So I assume that we are, whatever vehicle or means of transportation that we used, we're all arriving at the same time. Like literally arriving together. Like we were traveling on the. What do you think? What do you guys think we would have used?
I was gonna say I think we'd coordinate to arrive at the same time, but I think Nudeih would be coming from like where he was in the far west, so he would definitely have received Finnigan's letter, and in the usual fashion, not responded to it, pretended like he didn't get it, and meet you at the destination, the rendezvous point, at the right time.
He
As if
always
by
leaves me on
coincidence.
red.
As if by coincidence, yeah, a complete coincidence.
I
hi.
wonder. Sorry.
Gabe?
Yes, I was just saying that I wonder if we are coming from land, we could probably arrive by kind of ferry from Kalaman upwards. And then that probably makes sense.
That would make sense. North of Vogler is some lightly wooded hills and a few forests, perhaps, but no more than 40 miles beyond that, you get the great barren wastes, which basically mean the main approach to Vogler would be ferry or along the road, along the coastline.
I mean,
Lou?
Marjorie can basically see her house from here. So
The
I'm
map
gonna-
is deceptively poor. It is 40 miles
all right,
away.
I'm still gonna. But Marjorie's job in Kalaman is that she is an older woman who is in charge of fisheries. Where it's a port town, so I'm going to assume, with her kind of governmental role and with Kalaman being a large port in a area of coastline, do you reckon she's been here before? Probably visited all the little fishing towns in and around Kalaman
Yes,
Bay.
most likely you have, although it would not have been for very long. Vogler is a minor
but to, like, check
contributor.
in.
Correct.
Yeah.
You do have from your task force, if you would like, one of them has prepared a small dossier on the town, but small is the operative word. It's barely a paragraph.
Oh, I would definitely like the dossier. Marjorie
very
will
well.
collect all dossiers.
The village was originally built as part of the Solomnic Knights' control of the area, primarily inhabited by fishers, lumberers, hunters, and farmers who grow a rather unusual root crop, not particularly successfully. They're fairly peaceful. There is an occasional report of banditry from the northern wastes, but that's infrequent and very seldom is it actually fatal. There is a volunteer militia which is maintained by the mayor, a Raven Uth Vogler. Mayor Raven is unremarkable, uninspired, and generally keeps a quiet little village. It is under the protection of Maelgoth, the capital of the entire area, although it is closer to Kalaman. And yes, there is nothing else remarkable here. Oh, other than Becklin, the old knight that all of you are familiar with. She has been stationed at Thornwell Keep, which again is not in very good repair and wouldn't really stop much of anything. But it is still a keep, if only a keep, with a single outer wall, and she is in charge of that. The Kingfisher Festival, something that happens once a year to celebrate a great battle between the Solomnia Knights and the dark forces of the Istar priests. It celebrates the knights winning, and there's usually festivities and things. Basically, it's their excuse for a party.
I think as we're riding up on the ferry, Finnigan, who at this point has kind of changed his outfit over the course of this year. He now tends to wear sort of white and black and red, mostly white, but with patches of black and red quilted gambeson armor, and on top of that, some brigandine with the similar color pattern. I think he would have been like standing on by the side of the deck. I think Finnigan has a lot of issues with seasickness. He is not from a coastal city. He does not travel by boat very often. So I think it's one of those like he's leaning at the edge, just like, oh no, just like making con saves the whole way. I guess my question is this: this is a fishing village? Would it smell like fish to someone who has not, like, well, from a little bit of a distance?
Oh, you definitely smell Fogler before you see it.
Okay.
The jetties and little wharves that jut out from the village, stabbing out into the river, are positively lined with the corpses of hundreds of fish currently being dried in the sun. It is a wonderfully aromatic experience.
Then Finnigan, dripping with sweat, sweating through his gambeson, in between heaves, is looking up, he sees the town and says, "I think we're here," and goes back down.
Yeah, you definitely smell it before you even see it. But I feel
What is that smell? What is that? Has a curse been laid on this place?
do we see the fish?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think Van just kind of points out probably that.
Are those the citizens of the town?
As Vannwel like kind of points over to the docks where you can see all the dry fish, you can see like what I imagine is to be like fishermen like gutting the offal and throwing it to like more fish in the actual water, who then in turn get caught and create this very putrid, almost folding in upon itself scent. At the edge of the dock where the ferry is to land, there is a rather striking figure of Nudeih, who has arrived by carriage. He's wearing like kind of these black and red leathers. His hair is kind of tied up in like, because it's normally long hair that he usually keeps in a ponytail. It's kind of tied in almost like a man bun, which is as you would while surrounded by what would be kind of in this version trade people, so as to not get his hair mussed up or accidentally flung into big piles of salted fish. As he sees the ferry sort of moving past, Nudeih kind of just has this grin on his face, because the first thing he sees on one of the what I imagine to be the starboard side landings is Finnigan keeled over as he just sort of as Nudeih having come from a port town, it's just like, oh yes, now that makes perfect sense there. And well, if he's here, then oh yes, there's Vannwel. I sort of wave from the docks and sort of point over to where I'll meet them, and start to make my way towards like kind of coming to greet them.
Nudeih!
Guy, I hope you've got a note written down somewhere that says that Finnigan canonically does not recognize what a fish is, so that can come up later.
Flayed fish. Yeah, actually, you make a good point.
Someone serves him a fish at dinner. He's like, "What is this?"
Oh my god, are these the denizens of this plate?
Yeah, that is. I have decided that is canonically true. Finnigan has never seen a fish. He did not live in a coastal town. We didn't eat fish. He's never seen one. He does not know what they are.
Living or dead, no idea.
When he sees Nudeih, he yells out, "Nudeih, steel yourself! Foul magic haunts this place. The citizens of the town lay slain. The rotting corpses bring a pox upon us all." Just goes overboard again.
I'll look to like what I imagine just to be some civilians next to me and go, "No, he's just kidding. There's no such plague. I'm sorry. It's fine, Finnigan. Just ready yourself for landing."
He does look a little bit poorly, sir. says the fisherman as he's busy scaling this very brown fish.
Yes, yes, but well, I mean, it could be worse. He could be yelling and shouting about poxes to people in the streets.
Oh, no, I don't reckon we've got the pox, sir. We'd know about it, wouldn't it?
Oh, of course you would.
Yeah, people usually grumble when you got to pay an extra 5 copper.
Yes, yes, they do. By the way, that is a rather handsome-looking fish. How much for the? I pointed a couple of fillets.
Well, as a matter of fact, well, yeah, it's not a bad fish. I'm practicing, you see, because of the competition tomorrow. But yeah, all right. 3 copper.
Yeah, I'll take 2, and here's a silver for your trouble.
How many would you like? I've got 5. You take them all. Take them all.
I'll happily take the 5. Thank you.
Brillows.
I kind of imagine that their tails are kind of wrapped together with straw and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And so I'll take that and kind of keep it for a lunchtime snack to horrify Finnigan later.
You have a school of filleted fish.
I will add that to my sheet. We've seen how
the ship docks, and Finnigan perhaps discovers that this village really has embraced its fishy theme. You can see, looming large over the harbour, a large bronze crab. As a matter of fact, it's 2 bronze crabs that have been inscribed into the side of this building, and a rather crude sign indicates that this is the brass crab, as a matter of fact, which is where it was indicated you had your accommodations. And squatting down next to it is a little tavern which calls itself the Fish Bowl.
I turn to Vannwel and I say, "Look, it's the brass crab. Clearly they've built statues to the dark gods. Do we think that those were the sacrifices?" Pointing back at the fish.
Yes, I'm not sure. I mean, it's crab, so yes.
Is the brass silent? Is it just crab?
Well, no, it's bronze crab.
Brass crab. Oh, okay. Sorry,
Brass.
accent.
Sorry,
the
brass.
brass crab.
What
Should
is
we go
Miss...
into? Oh, go ahead.
What is Miss Thornet doing whilst all of this is going on?
I'm enjoying the show. Well, no, that's what Lou's doing. Marjorie, I assume, has got a ferry over. Probably. Well, I don't know whether it's the same one. Maybe not. No, it's not. It's not the same one. So I'm guessing she might have docked a little bit. Maybe she's pulled in earlier. Do you know what? She's gonna be there already.
All right.
She's gonna be at the brass crab. She's punctual.
Punctual, I like that.
That suits her. She's punctual.
Absolutely. And as a result of that, you will have already made contact with Becklin. Or as a matter of fact, Becklin sought you out once you arrived. Have you taken up your lodgings at the Brass Crab as offered on the invitation?
Yes. I've sorted out my room, laid out all of my clothes for the funeral. Made all the arrangements.
Quaint tavern, inn, I should say. Only a single story. Well appointed, if a little crude and perhaps from last century in terms of its decor. But definitely the fish theme is everywhere. There are murals painted on all of the walls, and each of the bedrooms has a theme. You happen to have struck gold with carp as your theme for your room. So you have carp painted all over the place, and the bed sheets have got carp on them. And yeah, carp is a thing. So Becklin finds you and starts leading you towards the wharf, because apparently you can hear the arrival of the others from without. It's very good of you to have made the journey. I know that you didn't spend much time with Ispin, but that you made quite a remarkable impression upon him. I had to send out specific invites at his request.
As did he on me, probably the most memorable, if nothing else, moment of my year was the event in which the two of us met, and he certainly proved his worth on the occasion.
Yes, I believe so. Now,
As did your fine self, of course.
well, we did
And
what
Mistress
we
Cudgel.
could. I would have preferred to have avoided the attack altogether, but nonetheless, it has happened. She is a little bit older than when you last recall seeing her, not hugely so. Her grey hair tied up in a
About a
neat
year.
bun and... Yeah, exactly. And her plate armour is still kept in good nick as you make your way to the docks with everybody else arriving. She waves at the three of you as you disembark or as you catch up. She looks at your catch, Michael. Oh, I was going to ask you to participate in the Kingfisher Festival, but I see someone is already trying to get his eye in. Have they already sold you a map of all the hot spots for catching the big one for tomorrow's festivities?
Not so yet, but I mean, the exploration is half the fun. I mean, why give away the good bits of the adventure before they begin?
Well put, although I suspect you may get the good bits sooner rather than later and at the cost of the villagers. Anyway, it is a sad day that we are all brought together, and I can see you are greatly affected, Finnigan. You look terrible.
At this point, I think Finnigan has had he's had his hair being held back by his little Draco lizard familiar, a burro, just holding, and he's been stuffing his nose with like whatever he can get, and he says, "Yes, I'm afraid the ambiance of the city does not quite agree with me."
Marjorie is rolling her eyes so hard.
I feel like Nudeih is rolling his eyes almost in exact tandem with Marjorie.
Marjorie
Well.
notices Nudeih also do her eyes and sort of think, and he goes up half a point in her estimations.
Yeah, I think Van is kind of ignoring I guess the conversation, is just very worried about Finnigan and worried that he's gonna kind of be sick in front of everyone. So I guess he's kind of looking in his backpack. He can help finding something like some herbs or something that he can kind of put on his nose.
Do you have anything in your backpack?
I might have a component pouch. Do I have a component pouch? I don't, because I don't. So sorry, Finn. I don't have anything for you.
It's okay. It's okay. I have flashcards. I flip through my flashcards, find the one with prestidigitation, and start just prestidigitating like strong, overpowering smells that I like, cinnamon and apples, hard into the little like cloth bits that I've stuffed up my nose, to try and just block out all fishy smells.
So contrary to your inhalations, it is not autumn or fall. It is summer, but yes, it helps to assuage the intensity of the fishy aroma. Becklin starts to guide you all to the brass crab. It has been a while since we have all seen one another, and it may bring you some comfort to know that Cudgel is here as well, although she is encamped with her mercenary band about a mile from here. Unusual turn for her. Once Ispin and I had finished with our dealings in this section of Ansalon, she remained behind. She's amassed quite a large contingent of mercenaries. What they're doing here, I'm not entirely sure, although I know Mayor Raven has had some dealings with Cudgel. I expect she will join us presently. The funeral is set to take place at sunset, so we have a few hours before it begins. I could give you a tour of Thornwell Keep if you would like, but it's pretty much just a crumbling old ruin. Unless you're interested in seeing the device, I know it certainly intrigues some folks, and Finnigan, I suspect it might be right up your alley.
Yes, please. I would love to see it.
Very well. Once you're settled at the Brass Crab, I shall take you.
The device?
The three of you. Yes. You'll see. Seeing is believing. I know I certainly didn't, and wouldn't have allowed it to happen if there was really no reason to not allow it to happen, and I couldn't really think of one. As she's saying that, this young man strides confidently towards the four of you. He's got shaggy black hair and he's wearing chainmail, which doesn't fit him too well. It looks like he's wearing his dad's chainmail. He must be about 16 or so. And he marches straight up to the four of you, immediately stands in front of Becklin and places his closed fist over his heart, as in the traditional salute of the Knights of Solomnia, and bows his head, waiting for her to acknowledge him. She does. This is my squire, Darrett Highwater. Darrett, these are some of Ispin's friends, Miss Thornett, Vannwel, Finnigan, and Nudeih. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I hope to serve you as best I can, and should you need anything, whilst in Vogler, you merely need to ask, and I shall make it happen. I mean, your word is my command. Do you need anything?
I should very much.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Marge. You go first.
No. You can both talk at the same time. I have 2 ears. I'll listen twice as hard.
Oh, okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. So, it occurs to me that
I shall
the
not
objects
participate in this.
all of these corpses here, I believe you said feasts. They're called feasts. Whatever they're called, these dead things could be very useful in chemical warfare. Could you maybe procure me a few of them so that I could, maybe a single sample? I don't know if I could handle more than one, so I could study it and use its powers.
While Finnigan is talking, I'm gonna just shake my little reel of fish that I have in my hand.
I would go, don't shake it like that. It could go off.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Highwater, firstly, I wish you to disregard everything that Mr. Aberfale just said. Second of all, I should very much like to see the fishing manifests and make sure that everything is on schedule and people are meeting their tariffs for the season. I might as well make it lightly business themed if I've come to Vogler anyway, as I was due to visit later on in the season.
Oh,
The
come
fishing
now,
manifests.
Marjorie.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get them from the mayor straight away, ma'am. And
Nudeih looks over at Marjorie and says, "Oh, come now, Marjorie. I mean, I know that work is very important, but today is a somber occasion. Perhaps, maybe, we leave the alderwoman behind and have a day to have our feelings towards our dear departed friend."
I certainly shall. I will put the papers into my bag and take them back with me when I return to Calaman. I will not be working, but it seems prudent to not make an additional trip, save myself the cost and of my town's coffers by taking an additional ferry when I'm here right now. My being making good use of my time doesn't make me any less of a mourner, I should hope.
No, of course not. But we wouldn't want you to be, I suppose, not surrounded by the people who can support you during this period of time. I mean, all of us, after all, did know Ispin, at least at some quite prominent point in our lives. And curious as still, while he had a rather big impact on my early days as a mage, I am curious, as I feel as though perhaps I wasn't so impactful as to warrant such a honorable invite. Not saying that I didn't do anything honorable, more that I'm sure the guest list should be quite interesting for this particular event.
That is a although you seemed to take a rather long time to make your point, it does seem to. I do understand your reasoning. There are several other more prominent members of the council than I that were there on the occasion that Ispin and I met, and yet it appears that I was the only one who to receive a personal invite. I wonder what the criteria for this guest list was, and I look at Becklin.
Becklin nods, and Darrett runs off as fast as he possibly can to go and get you the manifest. You are quite right. You are the only member of the council to have received an invite from Ispin. He was quite specific. It was the four of you and almost no others. There are some who have arrived in the village, perhaps by chance, that are of some renown. But for the most part, you four, myself, and Cudgel are the only ones that Ispin asked for specifically.
That is very curious. What are the funeral procedures they're following?
Just before sunset, we will gather with the little town that Ispin seemed to be quite fond of. We used to use Vogler as a base of operations many years ago. We will gather at the wharfs, where his body will be placed into one of the fishing boats that he procured some years ago, set adrift and then set alight, as per his request.
I see.
And then I assume we will share some fond words of memory and move on. If I might ask, there may be some dissenting voices. I would implore you not to act too rashly. Vogler is a very small community, and as a result, you either make friends or you have enemies. But these are quite toothless enemies, I assure you. She says this
Dissenting in
while
what
she's
way?
been leading you slowly to the castle. Lou?
Dissenting in what way?
Let's just say that there are some who do not appreciate the amount of attention that Ispin is getting and feel that he may be eclipsing the importance of the Kingfisher Festival to which they are the organisers. And that has rankled some. But it should not be paid any attention at all. Ah, there it is. Well, have a look for yourselves. You can see ivy clinging to Thornwell's Keep, which is an ancient 3-story stone tower. It is the tallest structure in Vogler. From its crenellated roof rises a rather elaborate device, kind of resembling a catapult. Only where there is usually a bowl, there is a rather large, square-looking flat surface that appears to be covered in fabric. There are also some rather unique hoops at the top and the bottom of this platform. Nonetheless, it is attached to the very top of the tower. The rest of the structure is crumbling ruins of walls and other fallen structures that surround it, and amid them there are several shallow square pits and covered excavation sites. But other than that, it is unremarkable. The catapult, however, is the thing that dominates.
Upon seeing the catapult, can Finnigan deduce what its actual purpose is? Because, I mean, he knows what a catapult is, but this one is obviously a different design.
Go ahead and, well, give me an insight check.
Okay, here we go.
Roll of the day.
You haven't got a clue. It wouldn't fire rocks very well. They'd slide off the bottom of it.
I'll then ask I think I'll turn to my companions and say, can anyone tell what this is for?
Can we?
Anyone else want to take a stab at it?
Okay.
Can we take a stab, or do we need to make the inside check?
You can make insight checks. Go for it.
Okay. Now, If we look very carefully at this, it looks to be, due to the current elevation of it, a means to defend the town from a higher vantage point.
It
Using
starts
his usual
to
way of saying
ooze
absolutely
black
nothing in the longest way.
smoke, and you hear a clatter, 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 coming from atop it. Anybody else want to hazard a guess?
Can I make a history check rather than an insight check? I've been
Sure.
here before, and I'm
You
thinking
have.
I might be
Yes.
trying to recall history about it rather than looking at it for the first time. It's probably not going to be any better. Oh, that's not bad at all. That's an 18.
Well, you remember that a certain tinker gnome by the name of Than had submitted a request, had submitted about 12 or 13 requests, as a matter of fact, to the Calaman Council over the past few years for various devices. One of them was called a fish slapper, which was this idea that a giant paddle which suddenly struck the river's surface might concuss fish, bringing them to the surface, greatly improving the efficiency of fishing, except that it was going to cost several thousand gold pieces to design just the prototype. There were several other devices that were included, most of them powered by gnomish clockwork or steam, some newfangled idea. This seems to fit the description of that, but what this thing actually does on top of the tower is a different question altogether.
Yes, it seems like it wouldn't do a very good job of concussing fish from up here.
No, so you are familiar with Than's work, says Becklin. Than calls this tentatively a celebration tosser or a gnome flinger. That is its full title of the device. We're going to be using it tomorrow to mark the beginning of the fishing competition of the Kingfisher Festival. According to Than, it will launch into the air several large baskets filled with coloured paper, which will create an atmosphere of festivity. At least that's the theory. I have seen Than use it once before. It allowed Than to catapult themselves about half a mile. I'm not sure how they survived, but when they returned, they seemed quite elated, although there was a broken arm, so perhaps not as successful as they had hoped. Anyway, when Than approached me to do it, ostensibly to improve the festival, I couldn't see a reason why not to. It doesn't really disturb anybody, except when it makes that awful noise, which it does once a day at about this time. It's quite useful keeping time, actually. Anyway.
Well, I guess then
Marjorie
you need
makes
to...
a note.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
guess
Gabe.
that no, I guess you later have to clean all the color paper off the street. So it's not that it doesn't cause any mess.
From what I have been told, it is very, very cheap paper which dissolves in the first rain. We
Marjorie
shall
was
see.
already making a note about the possible health and safety ramifications of this device, and she makes and when she hears Van say that, she makes an additional note about the cost of street cleaning.
She then looks around at the mud streets, so perhaps not a huge implication, but still.
And then scribbles the note about street cleaning out.
Yes, Calaman has streets. Vogler has not yet covered in drying fish racks between houses. So, anyway. With that, Becklin says, well, I suggest we all get some rest, and then we meet on the docks, unless you wish to meet any of the other townsfolk. Mayor Raven said that they would like to meet with you, but perhaps in the morning, given that they are busy with preparations for the festivals tomorrow.
I would love to speak with Fed if they were around, so that perhaps I could learn more about this wondrous device, as well as the excavation sites nearby.
The excavation sites we can talk about in the morning. With regards to meeting Than, that may or may not be possible. Than travels hither and thither, but I'm sure Than will be present at the funeral, and I'm sure you will be able to speak with them then.
Got it. I'll just wait till tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, the road was long, and I could definitely use a little bit of beauty rest before tonight's event.
Yes,
All good.
we are quite tired.
Are you going to do anything particular for the next hour before the sunset and the beginning of the funeral?
I'm gonna cook those fish.
I would like
Yes.
I would like to take one of the fish and begin my studies.
All right,
All right,
you
now,
begin studying.
Finnigan, you get this fish, okay? If you leave me alone for the next 3 hours, yes?
Finnegan thinks
Yes.
hard on that one. He's like, okay, yeah.
It's like a parent with an unruly child.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Have fun.
Uh,
Enjoy yourself.
All right, thank you. I take it to if I have a private room, I take it in there and start
You do.
experimenting and analyzing the spell or the smell. That is.
Absolutely. All right.
I'll
so-
look over at Vannwel and say, I don't have the heart to tell him. But yes.
I mean,
It's going to keep him busy.
It is. And so the afternoon passes, and you find yourselves gathered on the dock. Darrett, by the way, returned with the shipping documentation that you had asked for. Mrs. Thornett, he brought it all, everything that he could find. It looks to be in pretty good condition, considering this is a fishing village.
Right.
Yes.
I've
Nonetheless.
filed it.
Yes.
Not a concern now. We're
Not
not,
a
here for
concern.
business.
You gather on the docks, and those who are closest to Ispen Greenshield stand overlooking the Vingard River. There, Ispen's body rests in a small boat, his body wrapped in a shroud. A musician plays a soft song as the knight Becklin Uth Viharen steps forward in her ornate Solomnic armour. She smiles gently at those assembled, and her voice carries clearly across the water. You all knew Ispen as a friend, and there were none like him. Before he died, he told me this. There should be tales, not tears, for an old scoundrel like me, said Ispen. Make sure everyone knows my stories when I head off on the greatest adventure of them all. Becklin nods, and villagers carry the boat containing Ispen's body to the dock's edge, where she and Cudgel the dwarf lower it into the water. So let us do just that. Becklin continues, even though a tear breaks from her eye, as the tiny vessel drifts out onto the Vingard River. On the eve of the Kingfisher Festival, we celebrate you, Ispen. Good travels, friend, until we meet again. The boat drifts for a while. I'd like you all to make perception checks, please.
I hate these digital dice, man.
dang.
Finnigan is like, there's still all of these corpses around us. How is anyone crying?
Yeah, Finnegan has experimented with trying to remove the plugs from his nose and is currently like attempting not to dry heave, just hands on knees, just like.
However, I don't have a check from Marjorie yet.
Oh, well, I made one.
Oh,
I noticed that
Because
my
it says,
insight, that my history check didn't come up on the screen either. It was another 18. It was 16 plus 2.
okay. So you see Cudgel standing there looking very dwarvish, and she nods to a very lithe young man who looks like he sleeps rough out in the forests and things. He draws a bow and lights an arrow, raises it heavenward as the first of the stars are starting to peek out from behind their hiding places. And Marjorie, Vannwel, and Nudeih all notice that the boat, as it's gently drifting out onto the river, very quickly suddenly rises up about 2 inches or so. And then the fire arrow strikes it, and flames embrace it and burn brightly and quickly as everyone stands watching this pyromaniac display of the body slowly being consumed by the flames. Other than that, nothing else out of the ordinary seems to happen. Becklin suggests that we all gather at the Brass Crab. Ilmay has put on a small amount of food for us. Perhaps Master Finnigan, you would be advised to eat the salad.
Okay, thank you. Tears streaming down his face, not clear whether it's from the smell or from the sadness.
So everyone kind of clusters into the Brass Crab, unless you folks want to do anything.
Oh no, you
Go. God, we're both so bloody polite. Right. Okay. Marjorie's just going to just stay, just for a moment. She just likes the sea. Like, she's kind of grouchy and administerial and whatever else, but she is a lady of the sea, really, and grew up the daughter of fish merchants in a port town and whatever else, and she just likes being by the sea. So she just kind of stands and has a little quiet moment by the sea and watches the boat as it goes on the rest of its journey until it's out of sight, and then goes to the Brass Crab.
Nudeih, very similarly, is going to remain back as people start to progress towards the Brass Crab. In one hand, he has a silver piece, which he seems to be just sort of like rolling between his fingers, kind of a habit he has when he's deep in thought. In quiet contemplation, knowing Ispin, or feeling Ispin, Nudeih is kind of looking in the same way that you would look for a magician trying to sort of figure out their tricks. He's kind of like looking at the boat, he's looking at the fire, he's watching the ship drift away, he's kind of looking at the banks. And he quietly ponders to himself, if he is gone, then I wish him safe travels. But at the same time, there's a very heavy emphasis on if he is gone. As when Marjorie is kind of like, when it seems like Marjorie's kind of had that contemplation, Nudeih will have waited to escort Marjorie to the Brass Crab as well.
All right. Vannwel, did you head straight into the Brass Crab?
Yeah, I think I'm heading with Van and probably making sure that he gets there. I don't know if Van would comment something about the boat kind of lifting, asking if he kind of saw that specifically to Finn. I think he probably would make a comment like, that was really interesting. Probably not directly about how it kind of got elevated a bit for a couple of centimeters, but it was more like, it was a really, really interesting funeral. Never seen something like that.
Finnigan has, in between like trying to hold it together constitution wise, been trying to strike up conversations with the townspeople, because he feels kind of weird just like waltzing into a town for a funeral where it's a vibrant culture. So he's trying to like basically find out about folks. So I think as Van like jumps in to be like, yeah, it was a very interesting funeral, Finnigan would be like, yes, I've never seen one quite like it. We don't usually burn our dead. Is that a normal custom around here? Turning to the other folks.
As you turn to the other folks, this giant dead crab is presented to you. Crab stick, sir? No?
You probably want to stay away from that.
You're not fond of crab stick? No worries. I've also got fish lips.
Before you take it, I have... before you take that, I actually can I like take a
You
dagger?
want the crab?
Just part. I want to take my dagger and cut off the limbs.
You can
because
have a
the
whole leg,
pincers-
sir. There's plenty to go around.
No, I just want these. I honestly, I can't eat anything that's this hard. But thank you. I need to take the pincers for later. You said you had what, lips?
They're called fish lips, but that's not what they actually are, obviously. That would be silly. No, they're actually fried fish fins, but they look like lips because they curl up around themselves, and then you can sort of go... And she sort of... This is Ilme, who's the owner of the brass crab. She leads you to the buffet table, which is just covered in parts of aquatic life. And then at the very end, there's a small section which has the strange root tuber, which the little village is known for growing, which is vaguely yellowish in color, oddly shaped and reminiscent of a body part, specifically, the chin of men. It kind of has a bump to it, a bit odd. And that appears to have been prepared, mashed, fried, diced, sliced, raw. It's just all over the place. So you're heavily engaged in that. Eventually...
I have one question about it before we
Yes.
move on. Do they have any cephalopods?
Yes, they would have.
Okay.
They would have. In the shell.
Oh,
Right?
okay. So Finnigan would, I think, noticing those would be like, oh, okay, they have some normal food, and go over and pick up, I assume, this like partially shelled, I don't even know what it would be, a partially shelled octopus.
I was going to say there's famous shelled octopus.
Yeah, the famous shelled octopus. We have these back at home. And take one and
Nautiluses, I think you'll find. Yes.
Oh yeah, nautilus. I thought those
Much
were
more
mollusks,
sensible.
maybe. Yeah, I'll grab a nautilus and start scooping it out and be like, yeah, this is okay, and grab some tubers and make like a nautilus and tuber salad.
Vannwel, what are you eating?
I don't think Vannwel has a lot of appetite right now. Because he kind of obviously he grew up kind of near the sea, so he kind of is a bit used to the smell. But just seeing Finnigan eat like that and putting that together, I don't think he has a lot of appetite. So he's kind of just hovering around him, kind of judging him, but not saying anything because Van is quite polite.
Nothing wrong with being polite. Eventually, once everyone sort of has had time to mingle, there is only one character particularly that seems to stand out from the rest, owing to the fact that she has basically covered herself in black charcoal, except for these red smudged tears, which she has described across her cheeks. And her hair looks as if she decided to use several bramble bushes to sculpt it into this overhanging hair-like growth is the best way to describe it. And you can actually see that there are several bits of bramble sticking out of it. In one way, it almost looks as if it has definitely been put together because there's little pieces of red string that are strung between the bits of bramble and hair. She doesn't speak to anybody. She keeps very much to herself. But you can see that her hands, although they are covered in this black, her hands are covered in mud, as are her feet. And what little clothing she wears is also covered very much in mud. She does not... Did she make an effort? Didn't she? It's difficult to tell. Nonetheless, before you get a chance to chat to her, Becklin steps forward and asks if anyone wants to share any fond memories of Ispin and so on and so forth. One or two of the townsfolk come forward and share delightful tales, but halfway through the first telling, this young man, maybe he's 16 or 17, probably about the same age as Darrett, as a matter of fact, but dressed in rather lavish silken clothing and leaning heavily on the bar, sort of shouts out, "Why don't we all just call it a night, eh? He died. We don't care about him anymore. It's the festival tomorrow. We shouldn't be doing this sort of nonsense. What did he ever do for the town anyway? At which point, several people sort of look over at him and urge the speaker to try and carry on talking. The speaker says, well, it was at that point that Ispin had the back end of the weasel and was pulling whilst I... And then another heckle from this young man. Oh, tell it to someone who actually cares. I'm this boring. Come on. I want another drink. Ilme, bring me some more of that cheap crap you call beer. Michael?
So Nudeih is going to sidle up to this individual.
Uh-huh.
And say, could you put that on my tab, please?
He looks over at you. Oh, who do you think you are? I don't need your generosity.
Buying you a free drink.
I am a Baccharis. I don't need free drinks from commoners like you.
Oh, please. I may be a commoner, but there's nothing common about me, darling. And as I do so, when the drink arrives, I want to kind of surreptitiously slip a hand across the table, like across the bar counter. But the intention is I want to overextend to reach out of his line of sight.
Sure.
And I want to put something in his drink.
What are you putting into his drink?
I'm going to put a concoction of insect repellent.
Okay.
Oh dear.
He takes a swig of it, and immediately his face kind of contorts, his eyes bulge. He doesn't know whether he should... No, he throws it all out all over the floor.
As he does so, I'm going to... Oh, my lord! Oh, I'm sorry, he appears to have perhaps imbibed too much. I shall walk him home, and I'm going
It's
to...
a disgusting drink. What the hell? You trying to poison me, Ilmo? When my father hears about this, he's going to
grab him
shut you down.
by his belt waist and by the collar of his shirt, and I'm going to drag him out into the streets.
All right. Go ahead and give me an intimidation check to see if he even tries to push back against this. Not that he could. I mean,
It's an 11.
An 11. He starts to offer resistance. Are any of the others of you going to jump in on this, or are you just watching as this fracas has derailed the funeral?
Marjorie was all...
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, I was gonna say Marjorie was going to give Nudeih the eyes to go over and talk to him, and when she saw that he'd already gone, she was like, "Okay, great, he's dealing with it." But when she sees him going to and him like resisting, she quietly walks over and says, "I really think that you should take this outside."
Give me a persuasion check.
I'd prefer intimidation.
Well, or intimidation if you want to be
Oh no,
intimidating.
actually,
Absolutely.
it's the same.
Oh.
I'll go persuading. I'll save my intimidation. Oh, that's why. This is the problem. I should have gone intimidation.
We'll have to check your connection. What did you get?
It's only a 9 on persuasion.
A 9. Vannwel?
What would Vannwel do? I feel that he is not comfortable with how rowdy the situation is becoming. There is a protocol for funerals, and then we're okay, we're having a good time. This is potentially becoming like a very big disruption. I think he would kind of, because obviously he kind of looks up to Marjorie, I think he is kind of at this point attaching himself to that situation, but staying like probably behind her, seeing how this situation kind of evolves. But he is quietly judging everyone because everybody's making a scene. Yes.
All right.
Can Van give Marjorie the help action as like, because he's there as well? He's not actively doing something, but I feel like if there's multiple people coming in on him, that might be more persuasive to get out.
It could be. Let's see. Finnigan?
Finnigan would have, I think, in between mouthfuls of not cuttlefish, of Nautilus, and Nautilus and tuber salad would have been turning to the locals and having a chat with them, trying to strike up more of a relationship. And when this starts to break out, I think he would have like turned to them and be like, "Is this normal? Is this normal for your funerals here?"
It's certainly not normal, sir, but that's Baccharis the Younger. His dad owns half of the buildings in the town, so he gets the run of the place.
Would it be helpful if he wasn't doing this? I'm assuming it'd be better if he wasn't doing this right now.
He usually gets quite drunk quite quickly and shuts up, although as he's getting older, he's learning to hold his drink more.
Okay. Then I think this has been happening during this. Finnigan is going to turn over to Van and give him a thumbs up, and then he's going to turn and look at he's going to take off his glove and see his note written on his hand, and then with his set down the glove and with the other hand perform a series of movements and incantations, and he's just going to cast sleep.
All right, so we've got Marjorie and Marjorie and Nudeih trying to get him out, trying to talk to him. Vannwel just lurking, and the next minute the sleep comes out. Go ahead and roll the hit points or the hit dice that you put to sleep.
Okay. What is it? I need to see how much is it? 5d8s. Okay. Let's see if I can roll 5 at a time.
Yes. Just click 5 times on the d8s.
26.
I'm gonna tell. He literally slumps onto your chest, Nudeih. Marjorie, as you're instructing him to leave, you just watch him fold and just suddenly start snoring. He's one of those insufferable people that still looks fairly handsome even while sleeping drunk.
I imagine Finnigan did this quite openly, so I'll kind of wink over.
Not that
Finnigan.
Openly. It was very casual. I was like, oh. Okay.
Oh, I mean, would it be visible from where I am?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I just kind of wink over, and then again, still holding onto the back of his belt and his collar, I'm gonna take him outside. But here's what I'm going to do then. Firstly, I'm going to find the nearest barrel, preferably one filled with rain.
Oh, there are plenty of water barrels, yes.
Fantastic. I'm going to alleviate this person of any weapons and gold pouches that they may have, and leave them in a lovely bath overnight to pickle.
Okay, well, he has a particularly nicely made short sword. It has quite a lovely sort of filigree down the length of the blade, and the hilt is made of obviously some kind of steel, but it's been covered here and there in bits of bronze. Very, very ostentatious. And his coin pouch contains a grand total of 28 gold pieces.
Amazing. This is beautiful. I love this. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take his sword, find a nice big pile of offal, and lay it into it, leaving it for, of course, him to find another time. And yes, and as for his coins, a brilliant tithe, I think, to the local charity. Is there a church or a orphanage of some kind nearby?
There isn't either of those two, as a matter of fact, but if you ask around quite quickly, everyone agrees that Ilme, the owner of the Brass Crab, has been known on many occasions to provide a warm meal to strangers who have none to pay with, or a little bit of help to the fishermen when they have a bad season. So
I'll definitely return then surreptitiously, and without the pouch, I'll throw the pouch in the river, and say, the weirdest thing. As he was heading back, he apologized for his behavior and offered to pay the tab for the night, and then I'll give the collection of coins to Ismay.
All right. Ilme is very appreciative of it. Thank
Ilme.
you. I appreciate that, sir. Meanwhile, whilst all of this has sort of been happening, Vannwel, you suddenly feel this very light tapping on the back of your shoulder.
Vannwel kind of just, and kind of moves around. He kind of...
The woman... Yeah.
It's... Oh, right. Okay, fine. Yeah, he kind of moves to the side to see who's kind of tapping.
The woman all in black with the red cheeks is standing, and her eyes are wide. You can see the whites all around these very, very black irises. And she looks at you and she says, "Did you see the morning fires? It was you. You're the one, weren't you? You were there."
And then kind of Van remembers that kind of detail of when he kind of was with the perpetual fires in the mountain. He's like, how do you know that?
That's not important right now. What is important is that they are everywhere. We must be very vigilant. Very vigilant. I'm looking for it. I'll find it before he does. But I must know. Tell me now, and tell me truthfully, for if you lie, I shall see it inscribed across your soul like the blazing sun across the sky. Are you working for the Dark Lord?
I can tell you that I am not working for any Dark Lord in any situation.
That is a relief. I can see you speak the truth. This is good. This is good. He was here, you know. Recently, no one saw him. I did. I followed him. I saw what he was doing.
This Dark Lord that you speak of.
Soth. Dark Lord Soth.
When was this? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Are they really that important? They don't seem to travel with us once we are dead, so what use do they have whilst those of us are living? But you may call me Lidara.
Nice to meet you.
So many did.
You're unloading a lot of information on me right now.
You have seen the fires. You know what is coming.
When you say that they're all around us, do you mean here, right now? And kind of Van just looks around, but he
Not
just sees
here,
people.
no. No, his eyes have turned north. North. I know not what is up there. I have never been there before.
North.
But I must find out what he is doing. And since I know you were involved in the first sighting a year ago, I had to ask, I had to know. Perhaps you were an agent come back to find what he could not. But he has failed here this day.
I think as soon as she says about it was a year ago, because before I think I'm kind of like not believing her. As soon as she gives it a time, which is in fact a year ago, I think Van gets really, really worried that she is in fact speaking the truth in some sort of way. I'm sorry, do you need any, because I feel like Van feels that she's getting like really agitated. Are you okay right now? Everything is fine?
Everything is not fine. The greatest champion that would stand against the Dark Lord is dead. We are here celebrating a life lost. This is no greater or worse than the calamity. The cataclysm itself could not have done more damage. And yet here we find ourselves defenseless against the impending evil. This is not a day for celebrations. We should be in mourning.
Well, technically we are in mourning right now. It is a funeral. But I do understand what you mean. Coming back to the flames, when do you say that these flames are specifically? If I were to show you a map, could you point it out?
No, maps are not what you need. Eyes are what you need. Meanwhile, Mrs. Thornett, Mayor Raven has asked for a moment of your time.
Which I give.
I am very grateful.
I kind of nod at Nudeih, like you've got this, and wow.
The day is very dark, obviously, for Ispin's loss. You are aware, obviously, that we have the Kingfisher Festival tomorrow, and as a member of the Council of Calaman, I feel it is perhaps, or would be an oversight if we did not invite you to officiate over the events tomorrow. Would you consent?
Of course.
Excellent.
As a representative of my city, I would be only too glad to.
Good. We have had representatives before, only not so much recently. The primary role will be the launching of the fishing competition, which is part of the Kingfisher Festival. I assume you are not averse to going out in a boat and pretending to catch fish for a few hours?
Not at all. I come from a fishing family myself. My parents were both fish merchants. I am very few fish in this bay that I have not seen 100 times before, and the water is no place of fear for me.
Well, that is actually quite good news. I was going to ask you if you wanted Darrett to swim out at an appropriate time and hook a fish up on your line to avoid embarrassment. Various senators in the past various councilmen in the past have not taken too kindly to not catching anything. But if you are a skilled fisherman, then that solves that problem. Unless you still want the fish, Darrett is quite good at swimming underwater for extended periods of time.
Well done to him. I'm sure it won't be necessary. I don't expect an enormous haul. It's not something that I partake in often nowadays, but in my youth I certainly caught my fair share. I'm sure I'll be fine. But I thank you for your concern.
Excellent. Well then, I also appreciate the handling of Baccharis. He and his son are quite a handful, but
Marjorie starts at that. She did not know who it was Baccharis until that moment.
I beg your pardon?
I said Marjorie starts at that.
Yes.
She didn't realize that she hadn't heard who it was until that point. She's never met Lord Baccharis' son.
You are familiar with Lord Baccharis?
I'm familiar with his legacy more than his person, though I saw him around the city a few times when I was a younger woman. He was a person in a position similar to myself, though I would hasten to add, not nearly as successful in his position and not beloved of the city of Calaman.
No,
He's not spoken well of
either. No. He and his son retreated here after leaving Calaman, it seems. They own quite a large amount of property here, and most of the fishermen earn their money from the family, so we are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Right. Enjoy the rest of the festivities for what they are. I have other matters to attend to, unless there is anything else that you require.
What does Lord Baccharis have any official capacity, or is he merely living out his ill-gotten wealth in a state of leisure these days?
Primarily it's leisure, although he likes to meddle whenever possible, and his voice obviously has some weight behind it. One cannot ignore the hand behind the coin. But with regards to tomorrow, for example, he will be officially opening the reenactment of Battle of High Hill. You are, of course, more than welcome to participate. It was one of Ispin's... well, the old man just liked to participate. I think there was something about dressing up in padded armor and wielding a wooden sword that tickled his fancy. I know he would certainly appreciate it if the four of you were to lead the charge, as it were, on behalf of whichever side you prefer. Neither one is here nor there. But Lord Baccharis will be officiating as the referee to decide the winner. It's very honorific. The Astarian forces always run away after 10 or 15 minutes or so. That's what happened in the real battle, so we do our best to recreate that.
I'm sure my compatriots will enjoy the theatrics of it all. I can certainly picture them running around with wooden swords with quiet glee.
Indeed. Well then, good night to you, Miss Thornet.
And to you. Mistress Mare.
The mayor leaves. Finnigan, you are eating your nautiloid fried or boiled or whatever it might be. Are you paying any attention to the goings-on of this party?
I think Finnigan felt bad about the negative impression that Baccharis the Younger left on the party, and so he would have attempted to start up essentially a funerary song. Like, I think in his culture, funerals are slightly more of a joyous occasion because it's like a joyful sending off into the next great adventure. So he would have been trying to teach people and get as many people involved in singing a song to sort of lift everyone's spirits and possibly even dancing.
Excellent. And that's exactly
I knew
what
my
happens.
compatriots would be theatrical. I just said it.
And a song starts up and people start singing and having a good time. Now that Baccharis has been dealt with, everything kind of happens. Vannwel, the weird woman, kind of looks at you. We should speak again, but not now. Now I must seek. I shall see you on the morrow.
I have much to think about. Where can we see each other again? We do need to discuss this a bit more.
After the battle. Perhaps that would be best. There will be a terrible, bloody battle on the morrow. Many will die. I do not think you will, though. No. No, I am almost certain of it.
That's reassuring.
Yes. I guess, I mean, do you know the reason for this battle? Does it have to do with the evil lord? Soft? Is he coming? Is the fire coming?
Unclear, so unclear. I need to know more. So much more. Be vigilant. And with that, she grabs some fish, takes a mouthful of it, and then sort of flees out of the building.
And I think at that point, Van just kind of starts looking around to see if he sees someone that he knows, like Marjorie.
Oh,
or
there's a
Nudeih
big
or
party
Finnigan.
going on. There is a big party going on.
And I think he kind of approaches the person that is closest to him from his kind of party. Which would that be? I guess
Any one of Nudeih, Marjorie, you're both joining in for the festivities for the rest of the evening?
Oh, yes. 100%.
Perfect.
so. Yeah, I guess Van just kind of approaches. He looks very, very pale right now and really uncomfortable. I just had the weirdest interaction with someone that I think we kind of need to discuss because it seems very pressing and very ominous.
I've had nothing but weird interactions with people since we arrived in Vodka. Was there anything particularly troubling about this one?
Did you all see the woman all black with the tears that was hanging around this place?
Difficult to miss her.
Have you seen?
Nudeih sort of smiles as he says that and says, "Now listen, Vannwel. Sometimes at events that symbolize death, sometimes we like to do things that are self-affirming, and if someone approaches you and it seems a little bit strange, sometimes just going with the flow is exactly what you need. It's good for yourself, it's good for your soul, nothing untowards about it, And I mean, I'm sure if you cleared up all the mud, she'd be quite a fetching match for you, I think.
I think Van is getting uncomfortable with where this conversation is heading.
Make a blush check.
He's like, yes, I think that, yeah, I don't know. And kind of just looks at Marjorie. She said some things that made me believe that something might happen tomorrow. That might be very violent, and we all might be affected, or at least this town might be affected. She was talking about a battle that will happen tomorrow. Is there any bit of the Kingfisher celebration that involves a battle? You might know more because you're from around Kalaman.
I mean, there's the reenactment that's going on tomorrow. Apparently, they wish us to take part in some pageantry, costumes, and makeshift, made-up fake weapons and the such. I'm sure it's more of a dance than a battle. It seems to be something that of a local tradition. I seem to have missed the festival off my calendar the last few years, but I'm sure it's greatly enjoyed by the locals.
Kind of just thinks about it. He made it look like there was actually going to be blood spilled tomorrow. There was going to be a great battle, but maybe she's just crazy. I'm not sure. She did speak a lot of things about my past that made sense.
Did you know
I'm really
who she
confused her.
was?
Never seen her. She said her name was Lidara. Does that name ring any bell? She mentioned something that was really concerning. She mentioned someone called Soft. Is it Soft? Sorry, Soft or Salt?
You heard Soth.
Soft. Alluding to an evil lord of some kind.
Anyone can make a history check.
I'll do that.
Finnigan is still partying, so he is not listening. He is still like...
I've reloaded D&D Beyond, by the way, guy, to see if that
and you're coming
helps.
through. Brilliant.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe I did.
Marjorie, you both... Lord Soth, as far as the history books recall, was a Solemnia knight who basically betrayed every order he was given, and many believe he was in league with the forces of the evil priests of Istar who were trying to become gods. And a lot of people blame the cataclysm which destroyed most of the world 350 years ago on Lord Soth. Apparently, he was not the virtuous knight that he was supposed to be. He was selfish and greedy and sided with the Knights of Istar. Even once the Knights of Solemnia had discovered that Istar was hell-bent on becoming a god being. The rest of the order broke with the Knights, with the Istar community, but apparently Lord Soth did not and continued to serve them until the cataclysm, which destroyed everything. As a matter of fact, his stronghold, which now lies in ruin, is Dargarth Keep, which is about 60 miles to the south on the other side of the Vingard River.
Well, that's
So
improbable,
to us, in
but
terms
also
of like
concerning.
in terms of world understanding, this is almost the equivalent of someone saying like, the boogeyman has
Exactly. Yes.
So it
Lord Soth will eat children who don't do their homework or repair their fishing nets on time. Lord Soth is the big bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Finnigan, meanwhile, you were busy dancing and partying, and the next minute this familiar dwarf appears in your vision. It's Cudgel. And Cudgel gives you a big friendly hug. Well, it's not the fires of that horrible little larva pit, is it? But it's certainly getting quite warm in here for my liking.
Absolutely. Here, I grab like a glass of water and I say, "Cool off with this," and just throw it on her face. Just absolutely in the heat of the moment, just like, yeah.
It splashes all over her, and she looks down at it, and she looks up at you. I'm so glad that you threw water at me and didn't offer it to me to drink, because if you did, I would have punched you in the face. No one drinks water. Oh, brilliant. So good to see someone who knows how to actually have fun in this bloody place. It's what has been wanted, and it's what we're going to get. And she sort of spirals around a couple of times, and then she stops. Hey, are you going to be fighting in the battle tomorrow?
There's a battle?
It's a reenactment thingy. They've hired my troops to fight on as the old bad guys. It's all wooden swords and that sort of thing. But I want you to do your flying dropkick on my second lieutenant. He's a great big half ogre, and I reckon what you did to that scaly lizard creature out in the cave. Remember when you flew through the air and you did your little kender thing?
A burrow fly in the face, and
Hey, you still got that wee little lizard. That's brilliant.
He is. He has like there's a little like pencil, and he's doing limbo under a pencil, like over on one of the tables.
Look at that wee little thing. I just want to eat it. Anyway, if you do that to my ogre lieutenant tomorrow, I'll buy you drinks the whole night tomorrow night.
Oh, you're on. What? Can I ask a question, though? I have a question.
Sure. What is it?
What battle are we reenacting?
Oh, it's some great big battle between the Knights of Solemnia. You know, that's Becklin's bunch. They had a battle against the Istar priest hordes or whatever it was. This was like 400 or 500 years ago or something. Anyway, the Solomnic Knights won. The bad guys lost. They ran away. That's all that we really need to care about. We just fight for a few minutes. It's all make-believe and hogwash and all that kind of stuff. You won't get hurt. Don't worry. Just fly through and hit the ogre, and that'll be brilliant. I just want to see what he does.
Okay, yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
So Finnigan obviously has done a lot of research on the Knights of Solemnia previously. Yes. Could I roll a history check to see if I can remember any specific details about that particular battle?
Go ahead.
Okay. It was almost a 13.
Almost a 13 and almost...
I hate these dice.
Almost a 13, but not.
Dice.
This particular battle, if it ever did happen, probably would have been recorded in the history books as a minor skirmish.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
If anything, would probably have been maybe 4 Knights of Solemnia or 3 Knights of Solemnia versus 12 drunken Istari troops, because they didn't really get this far into the territory during the battle. So it was probably a scouting party that got a little bit beaten up. And that's that. But 400 years has a way of turning that into a great battle, and a town that has a festival dedicated to it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I will say, as Cudgel turns, I'll say, hey, wait, how about I get some practice in? And I run back and then jump forward and try the drop kick move on her as she's leaving.
And that is how the night started. Is there anything that you folks want to do before the festival begins in the morning? Because otherwise it's just going to be people getting basically drunk on the coin of the town and having a good time. If not, we can move on to the festival.
I would probably, we don't have to play it out, but I would probably go to my companions and invite them all, just assuming that they had not been invited, invite them all to join in the battle tomorrow.
Wait, I assume Finnigan's talking to all of us at once, yes. And I just kind of give myself a little knowing nod, like, knew it. That's exactly what I was thinking of when the mayor said to me. I don't say it out loud.
Nudeih will politely decline, saying he doesn't wish to mess up his hair first thing in the morning. And he will proceed to spend the night doing something life-affirming.
Is that a euphemism, or is he going to be out and about in the town?
I'm going to be out and about in the town.
Okay.
Enjoy... we don't need to go into the details, but he's going to spend the night charming, wooing, doing the usual thing you'd expect bards to be doing.
Very well. Very well. You notice one thing. Darrett Highwater patrols studiously. As a matter of fact, he's the only one of the town militia who is still on guard at the wee hours of the morning, Nudeih, when you are making your way back to the Brass Crab.
You know what? I'm going to lay the charm on Darrett. Let's see if I can convince him to take the night off.
You can go ahead and try. Give me a persuasion check.
I will try a persuasion. All right. I got a 14. But because this is the end of the day, I would like to use my lucky feat.
Okay.
And I can see if I can literally get lucky here.
computer says yes on a
Very
23.
lucky.
That's very lucky.
We don't have
It
to do physical
takes-
things. I mean, this could just be a nice night
Yeah.
to just take off, enjoy some drinks, have a chat, you know.
It takes all of your persuasive power. As a matter of fact, there were several times where you thought you were not going to get through to this kid. He is totally dedicated to the watch. But after possibly one of the greatest contests of your life, you convince him to give up and go and sleep. If only so that he can wake up super early and be even more vigilant for the next day.
Perfect.
The following morning, you are awoken in your various private rooms with the sounds of the festival going on outside. People are already celebrating. You can hear various little competitions going on. And do you all head to the town square to see the beginnings of the Kingfisher Festival?
I have one question before I go.
Sure.
Because I would have invited Van to take part in this too. Would Vannwel have also told Finnigan about what he'd heard?
Yes. He would. I don't know if he would explain the whole situation, but he would probably tell Finnigan to promise him that he was going to stay vigilant today, just in case.
Okay. Then I think what Finnigan would do is, as he goes, he would tell Aburo to fly around fly around the town's perimeter and see if he saw anything out of the ordinary. Like, we know that there's supposed to be folks with like wooden weapons and whatnot, and you know, people are having fun, but if there's like something that looks legitimately nefarious, he would want Aburo to come back and let him know.
The little lizard flies off.
I'll be like, see ya, and then like, Finnigan is not hungover, but he's still tired. He really threw down last night, so he heads off to the town square as well.
All right. Colourful banners and paper decorations shaped like kingfishers decorate the village circle. Temporary stalls sell food and colourful crafts, and in the centre of the circle, an ancient tree provides shade for happy picnickers. From a temporary stage, a band of local musicians brings a spirited song to a close as Mayor Raven Uth Vogler takes the stage. Welcome, friends, the mayor begins, raising her arms high. Welcome to the Kingfisher Festival. Cheers and applause fill the circle. The mayor smiles widely. Today is a day of not only revelry, but also reflection. We are here to offer thanks to the courage of heroes who came before us. Let us honor our founders, our family, and all those who can't be here to celebrate today. Enjoy your festival, Vogler, with high spirits, good times, and good friends. Look to the Kingfishers for good luck. She's partly reading it, partly saying it out loud. The crowd, however, gives an energetic round of cheers following the mayor's words, and with that, the Kingfisher Festival is officially underway. You are all invited to the dockside. Darrett comes rushing up to you, Marjorie, and says, the fishing competition is about to begin. We need you at the docks, please, ma'am. And if any of you want to participate, you're more than welcome to accompany the official dignitary for the fishing. I've got everything ready just in case.
Thank you, Darrett. Is anybody particularly inclined towards humble pursuits and anyone a keen angler?
I've studied a lot of angles.
Finnigan has not.
Yeah, I've studied a lot of angles, so I'm actually pretty good at geometry. Also, will this competition...
Wonderful, you'll fit right in.
Yeah, will this competition interfere with the battle, or is that happening later?
Darrett shakes his head emphatically, and his hair eventually catches up with which direction he's heading in. No, that happens this afternoon, after the big lunch. So the fishing competition is whoever can catch the biggest fish in the next 2 hours gets to take home a prize. I've never won it.
I am there. You're on, Margie. And then I start proudly like walking in the direction.
I brought fishing poles for everyone, he says, rushing over to the side of the building and grabbing 4 poles, dropping one, picking it up, dropping another one whilst he's trying to pick up the first one. Yes, he's very
Marjorie takes hers off him.
Nudeih will say to the others, "You care for a wager, just among friends? Maybe a gold to the biggest catch between us?"
That sounds like fun.
If I had money, I'd say yes.
I will help you out, Finn. I'll put the coin and we'll settle it later.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm in.
Usually one for games of chance, but why not a friendly flutter?
As everyone agrees, Nudeih has a big smile over his face as he says, "Oh, Marjorie, you know me. I don't take chances." And I assemble my own personal fishing rod. And
I assume, of course, Nudeih, that you will make it a fair fight.
Oh, of course I will. I don't need to use magic to win these ones.
Well, looky, we got ourselves an old-fashioned competition here, folks. So you are led to the front of the docks where Mayor Raven explains the rules. You are only allowed to fish in the Vingard River, no other ponds, pools, or pre-constructed fisheries. And you have 2 hours within which to catch the heaviest fish, or the, as a matter of fact, sorry, it's not the heaviest, it's the longest fish that can be caught. It must be a fish. Eels do not count. And the fish must still be alive when it is brought in. And so all of the fishing boats have got fish nets, fish cages over the side, so the fish can be kept alive to prevent what happened last year. Barden. And everyone sort of looks over. All right, yes, I did it. I bought the fish from Calaman. Everyone's like, and he's like, that's why I'm just the marshal this time round. All right, I get it. Nonetheless, you are put into your little rowing boat, which comfortably fits the 4 of you. It's actually quite big, actually. And sent out into the drift, basically. The mayor indicates that, Marjorie, once you have cast your line into the water, that is the official beginning of the competition.
Excellent.
To cast your line, I need you to make me a survival check. And anyone else fishing, for that matter, you can all make survival checks.
I'm going to put a case to you, Guy, that I've been fishing and being around fish and fishermen my entire life.
I do recognize that wonderful backstory. You have advantage on your roll.
I would like to claim the same bonus plus my actual personalized fishing kit.
You do have a fishing kit, so yes, I will give you advantage on that check as well.
Similar to that, can I piggyback off this, as I spent a lot of years living off the coast of Wayreth?
You may have advantage as well. Finnigan, I don't care what you say, you can't have advantage.
You've never seen us fish before.
Can I propose small proposal? When they were reading out the rules, I don't recall hearing no magic. So Finnigan is going to spend the first 10 minutes casting Unseen Servant, and he is going to have Forthwit go into the water and corral the largest fish towards him. Can I have advantage on this?
Yes, all right, fine. You can have advantage because you have your butler getting fish ready for dinner. All right. I love that. I saw lots of numbers being...
Unfortunately, though, Finnigan describes what a fish looks like to his butler and describes it completely wrong.
A very
I
long
love that.
walk.
I do like that. Now, folks, you watching, we have a few things that are going to be happening. Right, let me go there first. So there is the little boat that you are on. Quite a big boat, actually. I didn't realize just how big it was. But there you are on your boat, the four of you fishing. And there was a request when the stream started that Super Chat be allowed to get involved. It already has. I'm not sure if the individual who donated $5 is still around. Harry Scher, thank you for that. But that $5 will get you some stuff. So there is the Super Chat sorcery that you can all engage in if you so choose. Remember, financial safety before role-playing. And that will give people advantage. So someone has, I'm going to err on the side that Harry Scher was in the favor of the party, is going to give someone inspiration at some point. So let's see, by random choice, let me roll a d4. Number 2, so Marjorie, you have inspiration. Thanks to Harry there. All right, so with that in play, we go to look at these checks that you made. So if I'm looking here, I've got Marjorie getting a 19 for your survival check, is that correct?
Yep.
All right. I've got Nudeih giving me a 17. Mm-hmm. I've got Finnigan giving me a 21. Mm-hmm. And I have Vannwel giving me a 21.
I really resent Finnigan getting a 21.
Well, technically, it's Finnegan's butler that got a 21.
Yeah, technically,
that's true.
It's Finnegan's butler that got a 21. All right, so in that case, then, let's see. The numbers that were rolled there. Okay, so I don't know how this table works, actually. I was trying to figure it out earlier on, but I really can't. So with a roll of a 21, both of you catch fish. Roll a D10, a D20 for me, please. Both of the 21ers, just to make it easy. The first
Finnigan,
half... Yes?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say Finnigan, upon knowing that like we're catching fish, is going to mentally tell Forthwit to unhook his opponent's fish from the line. And he is invisible and can move below the water. So is there some way for me to impose disadvantage on this?
So I'm going to do this because let's just say if the players can be dicks, so can I. So Vannwel, you rolled a natural 20. You hooked a fish so rare that it has been named Banebog the Line Breaker. And you know you hooked this fish because there was a cresting just a moment before you were pulling it onto the boat. This fish was easily 8 foot in length. A tremendous sized carp. Absolutely spectacular in scale. And yet somehow, as it dipped beneath the murky waters once again, your line suddenly bounces and snaps out of the water. The hook come free from your catch.
No! I just had it. I was about to get it. Did y'all see it? And I kind of just look around. See who's... Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it?
I saw it.
Counts,
It was
right?
impressive.
It counts.
You got to get it up onto the boat. I'm sorry. You got to respect the integrity of the sport.
Those are the rules.
Is the water quite murky?
It is, unfortunately. The description said murky waters of the Vingard.
And I immediately, I'm trying to see it, and I want to cast Shade Water on the water, and it specifically says that I can change the opacity of the water, and can I make it like clear around me?
You absolutely can, and I would like you to make a perception check, if you please. Meanwhile,
21. I'm rolling.
Oh my goodness, you were rolling like a champion.
Yeah.
All right. With a 21, you see this fish struggling like all hell as it's sort of writhing in place around just there's water around it. And then suddenly it's as if it gets let go, because then it just darts immediately underneath the boat and down, trying to get away from everything.
That is very unnatural. That is
yes,
very,
fish
very
don't
odd.
often pause in the middle of the water to thrash about for a little bit. Who else got a 21? That was oh yes, our sportsman, the Finnigan. What was your 20 that you roll a d20 for me, please?
I rolled a 14.
A 14. On a 14, you have managed to catch a mature river barbel, which is kind of like a catfish, and it measures in at a good 1.5 foot in length.
All right.
You can make a note of that. That's the longest fish caught so far. I think Marjorie, you were next on a 19. Go ahead and roll a d20 for me, please.
Oh, what? 16.
16 modified by that takes you down to there. You also catch one of these barbel type of creatures, and also 1.5 foot in length. They're pretty comparable in size. And then Nudeih, go ahead and roll for me a d20 if you please.
I want to
You got
ask
17,
something,
right?
just in general, right?
Yes.
So apparently, according to my fishing equipment, which ironically I apparently bought from the Spelljammer book, there's a D10 table here for what I could catch with this fishing rod, of which are a variety of different things. Can I ask to roll a D10 on that chart instead of the D20?
Are those creatures aquatic, given the nature of the book?
Most of them are. The 10 isn't. The 10 is a space whale.
Yeah. That would be a bit
Unlikely
problematic.
to find
Okay.
that.
I think let's save that.
check.
Let's save that for the next fishing competition, because I don't think that Nudeih has ever used that fishing rod for fishing. I think that's for catching little sparkly things on window ledges and
Maybe.
and the like.
Maybe. That's true. But I got a 12 on my...
You got a 12. On a 12, you managed to capture, and I'm doing a slight modification due to the roll, you managed to capture a tiny Kurust carp. It looks as if it's wearing armor, but it's only 1 foot long.
I would very much like to attempt, whilst we are doing this,
Yes.
to basically sleight of hand and swap my catch for Finnigan's at the judging table. Like just swap our names around.
We can make note of that once you get there. There is still 2 hours of spectacular fishing going on, and it does continue for...
Yeah, Michael, don't interrupt our fishing game.
Sorry. Look, I'm playing to win.
Jeez.
We know your
not in the end
intention,
game
which
yet,
is
dude.
fantastic. All right, that is what happens for the first sort of 10 minutes or so. You then notice, and you don't think that this is malicious intent, but it definitely can't be helping your chances. Darrett is slowly making his way over to the four of you in it's a 2-man rowing boat that he's in. It's almost a canoe, really. But he looks as if he is some sort of ostrich lying on its back, flailing its legs around in the air, because his oars are more in the air than they are in the water as he rows out towards you. And when he eventually arrives, he looks up and he says, I thought you might all be a little bit thirsty being out here on the boat, so I brought you a variety of drinks from the Brass Crab. Ilme said she noted what you all drank last night, so I brought you some of that, and then I just brought you several barrels of water, and then I thought maybe you'd like some sandwiches, so I brought you some sandwiches as well. And he hands over this picnic basket and several barrels of water and several bottles of wine and some beer and some ciders. I hope this is okay.
My, you are industrious.
My duty is to make sure that the dignitaries are protected and well cared for, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing.
I have no time for niceties. It's time to win, We're playing a sport. Finnigan very intently staring at the water.
He salutes and then slaps his way back to the shoreline. You're fairly certain you literally could watch the water getting lighter as the fish all have decided to go somewhere quieter.
Oh God.
One last round of survival checks from all of you, please, or whatever evil use of foul magics you are going to participate in.
I do actually have an underhanded move that I would like to make.
What is your underhanded move?
Yes, having seen the legendary beast that Van nearly hooked, and having seen that it is possible for Forthwit at least briefly to overpower that fish as well as locate it. Could I have Forthwit attempt to locate Granabold, his name is?
Banabog.
Could I have Forthwit attempt to locate Banabog and corral it towards my line?
You're going to have to give me a perception check, if you please. The unseen servant is not that bright, so this perception check is basically for it to see how good it is. Nudeih casting away like a champion.
Not so great.
Yeah. So this time around, you spend your whole period trying to get your unseen servant to do what you want them to do, but they're failing there. Vannwel, you've got a knot. You got something caught somewhere. There's an underwater something that things are hooked on. Oh dear. Miss Thornet, apparently, Mrs. Thornet's got a 5 or a 10. Yeah, things not something has gone wrong, except for Nudeih, who's obviously figured out the fish's problems.
So I would like to change my subterfuge given the next couple of hours and stuff. I would just like to surreptitiously and very quietly return the Finnigan's fish to the water, to be free and swim yet again in the vast rivers that be.
You're gonna go for a swim?
No. I'm gonna take Finnigan's fish and return it to the water.
Whilst Finnigan is trying to direct his unseen servant to catching this ultimate legendary thing. Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Easy. Do I have advantage because he's busy?
No, because it's also a small boat.
All right, that's a 21.
That's pretty good. Finnigan, whilst you are sort of trying to stare through this muddy, brackish stuff, you hear a polite little splash from behind you, but there's lots of grunting and splashing going on behind you, and it's all sort of lost in the mix. Marjorie, you pull on something quite heavy, and it seems to pull back. As a matter of fact, it pulls back quite a lot. I need you to give me an athletics check, if you
that's
please.
gonna go well.
Sorry, can we try and help? If we see her
Strength is
kind
my
of struggling,
jump
can we kind of
stat.
try and help her out?
Maybe. It depends on what her check is.
Oh,
With a
okay.
-1.
That could have been worse.
15 is not bad. So you can now help because Marjorie is quietly sitting there. I imagine in sort of a serene state, perhaps, Marjorie.
And yes, obviously it's tricky. It's pulling back, but she's said that she's an experienced fisherman and is fisherwoman and is trying to look dignified about it. So it's probably trying not to grunt and show signs of exertion.
And then suddenly, Marjorie is lifted up onto her feet as this pull just pulls her forward, and the whole boat lurches forward as well. I would like for Vannwel, Nudeih, and Finnigan to give me dexterity saving throws, please. Finnigan holding his spot. Nudeih wobbling. Van is definitely locked in. Nudeih, are you you're going for a bit of a swim, I think.
I will use a lucky dice to reroll that.
All right. That
That will
subtle
not be.
splash that you heard earlier, Finnigan, is replaced by a loud splash as Nudeih, who was already leaning over to let your fish go, suddenly goes in after it. And Nudeih, as you plunge into this river, your eyes open perhaps in panic. It's murky, but you suddenly see this enormous tentacle start to wrap towards you. And we'll be back next week, folks, because we're out of time. And that's the introduction to Vogler Village. I was trying to run it as verbatim as the adventure is written. Yes, Vogler Village and their little Kingfisher Festival. And something that lurks beneath the river. We shall see.
Oh no! Next session,
Massive
we're
apology
in real
to our
danger.
moderator, Laura Bones. Why are there always tentacles? In this case, it actually was my fault. But I didn't mean it. I swear it. Blim, blim, blim. Indeed. Folks, thank you very much for playing. I had an absolute blast. I did not expect the fishing competition to be quite so cutthroat. It was just a little fun competition. Nonetheless, hopefully you all had fun.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
That was
I'm,
awesome.
I'm currently winning this competition, so I'm good.
True. That's true.
They're all
I just-
taking each other out. I'm just gonna slowly reel it in.
Well, no, I think Nudeih definitely felt with Marjorie. There's no way Finnigan should win this. Like,
would
and then
be an
seeing him land such a
injustice.
big fish, he's like, no.
I need justice.
It's okay if when Finnegan saw it, he just thought, oh well, that's not a fish, and just thrown it back anyway. What is this strange creature? I'm looking for a fish.
Anyway, folks, thank you for watching as well and for your comments in chat. Remember to go and vote for the caption for last week's image, which will now be up on Discord in a few moments. And then hopefully it'll be chosen for next week. And until next week, we will be back same time, same place, same channel to bring you the next in this... this adventure. If you want to see spoilers on what I have planned for the rest of this adventure, go and check out Monday's video. But it does contain spoilers. I do explain everything that I am doing, so be aware of that. But there we go. So all that remains from me is to say thank you to my players. Thank you to you for watching. I've done all of that. Massive thank you to people who are creative and wonderful and amazing, like all of the 4 people that you were watching this evening. And a big thank you to Laura Bones, of course, in chat.
And thank you to Guy for running a freaking awesome game.
Yeah.
My pleasure, as always. Until then, goodbye.